Hi, my name is Shelby. I am going to demonstrate 4 italic letters today, and they are the diagonals: the V, the W, the X, and the Z. I'm working at a 45-degree pen angle, so that's why I'm showing you on this compass that this is the pen angle for italic. It's always good to measure your pen angle when you're still memorizing that in your head. And I'm working on Crowquist paper with about a 7-degree slant to my italic, and I'm working at 5 pen widths high, which is typical for italic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing about the diagonal is it feels like you're working against the slope, but of course you're not. You want your letters to still be at a slope to fit with all of your other letters. Starting a little bit below the waistline, pulling down, and we'll get a thick. And now what we want is to do a little uptick to show where we want the second stroke to join up. This is not very wide lettered. This counter space is only at its widest about 1 pen width wide. Can be done in 1 stroke. And I usually do it in 1 stroke if I'm writing in a text, but a lot of times when you're building control over the letter, 2 strokes is a really good idea. You don't want it to be too thin here. This one, for example, is pretty thin, and I don't like that V too much. So, okay, let's look at the W. The W is not just 2 V's put together. The counter spaces are a little bit more narrow than the regular V, but it starts just like it below the waistline, pulling down and getting that space right there so that you have a nice finish to the end of the stroke and to creating that counter space. What you don't want is to have too much overlap here so that you have too small of a V shape. So you want these 3 shapes pretty well balanced. They don't have to be identical, but they should be pretty close. So again, below the waistline, diagonal shape, pretty clean here so that it's not closed up there. This is a little bit of a thin when you push up, and it's thicker when you pull down. And this can be done in, that was, in case you didn't notice, that was done in 2 strokes. It can be done in 1, 2, or 3 strokes. So you can do a lot of pen lifts. 1 pen lift, 2, you can even pull down here. You can pull down here, it'll still be thicker. I like to do that uptick, and you can pull that. Notice how here this isn't the best because this one is a little bit thin compared to this one, and you want it more balanced, more like this and like that. Well, let's do 1 more W. Talk yourself through this so you get to the letter shape that you want, or at least so that you're analyzing it as you're doing the letter. Pull down, make a little tick, come up, make that soft entrance here. And again, look at, oh, not so good. I got those 2 kind of separate, and what happened, the analysis is, look at, there's too much overlap there compared to how this works. So what you want to do is have a clean exit here so that when you join, there's not too much overlap between the point of the W and so that you end up with counter spaces that are very close to each other. Close to each other in that they're the same size. Okay, let's go on to the letter X. Again, it almost feels like you're starting with a V, but because you are making a diagonal, but like the V, but it's going to be a little bit steeper, a little bit deeper than the V. It's a wide stroke, and this is going to be a soft entrance and a soft exit. It's not a stroke that I think maybe is used too much in the other letters. It's on this finishing stroke of the W, but it's a little bit different stroke than we've done before. So it's got that kind of a soft move. I'm feeling like this is a little bit thinner than I like, so I'm going to check my pen angle. Oh yeah, and sure enough, my pen angle is a little too flat. So I'm going to try this again. Keep my pen angle more to 45, and that will, look at how that makes my downstroke, my down diagonal, a little bit heavier, which is the better letter. So part of it is not just doing the letters again and again, but to do a diagnosis and analysis as you're going along of what's working and what's not. The final letter that I want to demonstrate is Z. And the Z has only one diagonal. Look at the X has several. Two, excuse me, the X has two. The W has one, two, but also those are diagonals. So, and the V has two diagonals. So the Z is diagonal, really determines the width of the letter, kind of like the X, and you want to make it not too narrow nor too big of a Z. So you're looking for that balance and looking not for a skinny, like you don't want, like this got too skinny, you don't want this too skinny. So you want it to have a little bit of weight. Demonstrate that again. Hold on, and what helps to have a 45-degree angle to get that weight in there. I'll show you what doesn't work, and this happens, is if you just go down at a really sharp angle, and maybe that isn't a 45, but it makes this way too skinny. So if you're getting a really skinny diagonal, then make sure you've got a 45-degree pen angle, and even maybe flatten a little bit to maybe a 40 or a 30 so that you can get some weight on that center diagonal and have that X. If you want, you can even put the crossbar a little bit like you have on the F and knife out, make it nice and a little bit thinner, say, than the top and the bottom, and knife out, and it gives a little, again, a little bit more weight to that letter. And those are the 4 diagonal letters. Practice mindfully.